So I'm announcing here today that if I'm returned as mayor for a second term, I will continue what I started and what I did, which is what I said I would do during the first 4 years. I will lead in ensuring that property tax increases are kept at or below the rate of inflation for the next 4 years. Well, I will just tell you that the last year that we've just been through, we ended up the year with a $300 million surplus. And the year before that, I think it was 170 million. And the year before that, it was 150 million. And that is because we are running the city carefully, and we are taking the money that does come from an inflation-only tax increase. I mean, the fact is that that does produce some extra money. We are taking some of the funds that come from growth, but more than anything else, we're taking the money that comes from running the government better. And we are not only making ends meet, but we are investing significantly in new services like all the transit initiatives I've outlined today, and ending up the year with a surplus. Over the last 4 years, for the first time in the history of the city, we have a network transit plan approved which has multiple projects in it, all of which are proceeding right now, and they're in the planning design stages. In the case of the Bloor-Danforth subway extension, utility lines and vaults and so on are being moved this summer to make way for that subway line. And I would say that that work is proceeding, and that we've got $9 billion we didn't have before from the other governments, and that we're going to proceed ahead with those big projects. I think what goes with being a candidate is the responsibility to answer for things that you've said in the past, to square the circle, as it were, in terms of things, the positions you've taken, to spell out clearly to people what you're going to do on taxes and transit and things like that, and as well to, to keep a focus on the big issues. I mean, I heard this week about this idea of Toronto seceding from Ontario, and I thought to myself, well, it just sounded like kind of a ridiculous idea. And then I read that my opponent slept on it overnight and came forth the next morning and said, yeah, I've slept on it and it's still a good idea. And I sort of think to myself, well, it was never a good idea and it was never practical. And so, we're going to have to sort of square a lot of those circles, but that's what you have elections for, and that's why you have debates. And I look forward to an opportunity to discuss new ideas and to discuss things we can do to make this a better city. That's what we're all trying to do.